Can everybody hear me? Actually, don't mind if you can't. What a wonderful evening. I'm absolutely humbled by the number of people who have showed up today. You must have been doing something right in the course of the evening. I think there's some of you will be here to say ta-ra to me, great friends, etc. Those that just like a party, and those that perhaps just confirming that I'm actually going. Almost reminds me of the Scots Guards for Thatcher's funeral, where they said we really don't want those because they'll shoot into the coffin to make sure she's dead. There's some cloud cover. We're in the Conservative Club, and thanks to everybody for putting this on. Quite ironic, really, being a lifelong socialist, that we're in the Conservative Club. But living through the Blair years, there doesn't seem to be any difference between the parties anymore anyway. So we might take advantage of the space and the wonderful cheap alcohol. Thank you very much. So, we've only got 52 years to cover now. Go back to 24th of the 10th, 1961, but guess what? Like a market stall, we're not even going to be talking about the first 20 years, we're not talking about the first 22 years, we're talking about the last 30 years, which have been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much. So that's already got us through 22 years. So I joined in 1984 with 12 good people. Chris Davis, a colleague on the course, Chief Fire Officer at Midland West Wales. My specialist skills in those days was, we'll come back to that. Weaknesses were very much knots and lines. They offered me slip-on shoes so I could get through the course. Which is bizarre that I went to the SIU team in Barry a little while later and got actually passed out, believe it or not, in Cliff Rescue. Just fingers crossed like this. No, please, no calls. No calls. And somehow or other, I managed to get through that course, despite the threats from Di Davis. And went on to Blue Watch Central. I think they washed their hands of me and Carl Tugwell. They said, you two wasters are going to Blue Watch Central. And you'll just have to cope with whatever they throw at you. And there was just the wildest bunch of people you'd ever imagined. But fantastic people. Really, really fantastic people. Bonded together. And it was okay for me because I could take a little bit of a backseat because Carl Tugwell was so in the face of everybody. Quite short man syndrome. And he'd be in the face of Mike Leonard. No, nothing against anybody that's rather short. Martin, there's other people here that are shorter than you tonight. But that's Martin Critcher. No stand. He's a tiny person. You're going to start saying about my ears in a minute. Well, I can't actually see my ears, so it can't be that big. Now, anyway, we talked about my first nickname when I was at Blue Watch Central was for my first day shift when I brought the doors down in Whitchurch station when I was detached, and he called me Diana after that, after Diana Dawes. It wasn't my fault, it was like the doors at Whitchurch did the buttons when they're on the wrong place. There was so much to remember, and we're going out to do a little visit, and I'm on the ET. Why I'm on the ET when it's my first day, I'll never know, but anyway, specialist RTC skills. One day, we didn't have much money in South Glamorgan, but God, we had some good times. So, I remember the first incident we went to. We had the Exchange building caught fire down in Loudon Square, and Mark Bell said I was on the HP. I'd been in about 5 minutes, and he said, "Don't worry about it. We'll be back in bed in 5 minutes." The whole of Loudon Square was on fire. Well, I think it was Loudon Square. My topography was never that good. We'll come to my skills later, I'm sure. But what I found was absolutely amazing was the camaraderie, and this is the whole thing, the flavour of this talk tonight. It's going to be about people, the tasks that anybody's involved in. They're all rather largely irrelevant. What really matters is the people, and I'm I'm so glad that so many people here tonight. It's amazing. And thank you very much for that. I haven't finished. That got us to about 85. And after I left the wild people of Cardiff Central, went to Red Watch near Ely. It's called Green Watch now, but I stick with the Red Watch. And we had an abundance of house fires. We had some fantastic watch managers. And I'm conscious tonight, and I'm not going to mention too many people by name, because everyone else will think, well, didn't that matter to you? Because I'm a bit of a worry pot. When I came into the fire service, I was very insecure, very underconfident. I've got out of that, but I'm very mindful not to sort of highlight individual people, and everyone's thinking that bastard didn't say anything about me, did he matter? Oh. But you all matter. You're all wonderful people. But I think most amazing thing that the funniest thing about being in Ely was the meeting of Kevin Williams, Frank Spencer as we called him. I remember going to an incident in Pendrabane, and he trod through the ceiling first off and let the plasterboard go down on people's meals. Then we dropped the bin with all people's burnt carpet all over the floor of the investigator and police officer, and then we smashed the lights. And then later, the next week, he kicked paint all over Trevor Ellis's shoes when he was doing a station inspection. But I learned my trade at Ely, and the wonderful team spirit was fantastic. Unfortunately, I had to go then and move over to Barry. Not unfortunate, because it was a great adventure, but I was very sad to leave them. And I don't really remember too much about being the staff officer, apart from Billy O'Brien, wonderful character, Arthur Thompson and Mike Thomas, and Lisa, when she was just new to the fire service. Our connection lasted a little bit longer than that. And there really was a point, after all, a shadow over there. After a little bit of time in Barry on White Watch, working with Phil Orman, the wonderful Phil, who's here tonight, with a magnificent work ethic, we went to fire safety in Cardiff, Adam Street, and a special mention there, an extended period of time working with the likes of Mark Bell, who dragged me out of more than one hole, and Colin Baker, God rest his soul. Probably the funniest person I've ever met in my life, without a shadow of a doubt, and God rest his soul. In those days, we didn't have logbooks, so to break the tedium and the boredom of working in fire safety, I mean, it's an essential job that needed to be done, but I didn't really want to do it, and I was only doing it for promotion. I love fire safety, really, and my hat goes off to anyone that can cope with that. It wasn't for me, but I did do 3 years there. I remember being in fire safety, and I was at the drawing board, and Tony Blair, many moons ago, came in as Shadow Secretary of the Environment, having a little look round, and there was a poster up that said, Sub-Officer Smith, 1993, fire safety. And a nice picture of me doing the best you can with a face that's made for radio. But next to that was a picture saying 2012, Sub-Officer Smith's fire safety, and there's a skeleton. And I'll have you know that Tony Blair, seeing me there, putting the things together, did have a little chuckle. Fascist. He'll be in jail soon enough, I think. After that, I moved to Barry. I'm skirting through a few things now. We're moving almost into the 90s, you'll be glad to hear. It's my party and I'll talk if I want to. Is it alright? If anybody wants to go and have a drink or go and do whatever they need to do, feel free. I'm not going to be upset if anybody leaves the building. If everybody goes, the last person out, turn the light off. I'll jump back to the Sex Pistols, probably get an ass both of the neighbours complaining across there. Great night, great party. Anyway, we eventually got out of fire safety when Trevor Ellis blew his fuse. When me and Keith Brooks had to decide out, the two of us, which one was going to go. And Keith Brooks straight-talking guy, slagged Trevor Ellis off from his hole to his pole and told him exactly what he thought of him, and Trevor let him go and kept me there for another year. Thanks, Trevor. I made a really educated, balanced judgment call about why I needed to leave, and he kept me there for another year. But fire safety's benefit. I did a little bit more about Colin Baker. I was just thinking about what I said about a wonderful round of applause for him, but what I like most about Colin when he walked in the morning is his blunt, straight-talking approach. He'd come in, he'd look at all the fire safety files, because we didn't have electronic things in those days. We didn't have electricity almost. And he'd look at all the files on his desk and he'd just go, just a little flake for each one. All the premises, no matter what it was, David Centre, Howells, Jollies, whatever, Dingles, David Evans, remember that? And then he'd turn round and he'd give him a little fart. Just a little fart. And then all the station officers, DOs in old money, ADOs, they'll all be around the kettle going, Carl, there's no milk, please, Carl, there's no milk. The shop's only just where we can see the bookies across there. I'm assuming it's the bookies, there haven't been anyone. And he'd say, can you turn the fire down, please? My hands are burning. Move your hands back a little bit, guys. Move your hands back a little bit. Oh, it's not so bad now, Carl. Thanks for that. I do miss him greatly. Inspirational character. Another round of applause for Colin Baker, please. While I was at Barry, I had a little spell in Cardiff Central, and I achieved my lifetime ambition, really, which has been rider station officer in Cardiff Central. Barry's a great place, Penarth's okay, Ely's okay, but nothing competes with Central. Nothing. A wonderful place. And I had the honour, while I was there, of taking charge, if you get the language right, of Alison, the first female firefighter in South Glamorgan. And look where she's gone, thanks to my leadership. But everybody on the watch at that time was it's amazing to think how things have changed. There was everybody's wives were complaining, everybody was on edge, it's going to be outrageous, no one's going to trust anybody. Of course she's not, let's move on to the next station. No, but bless her, Mark and Alison are absolutely great match together, fantastically happy, and may that long continue. Two of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm sorry there was a little bit of humour for there, but... Right, where are we going next, quickly, while I'm just digging a hole for myself? Penarth, Blue Watch. The station that time forgot. With a character list of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. My good chum, John Morgan, realised how tedious it was at Penarth and how few calls we were going to have. And he tried to arrange that each member of the crew would have a specific role in RTCs, etc. And the team approached to it all. He was a forerunner, a pioneer actually. And he explained it all to Arnold and the rest of the watch. The BA guys will do this, the middle guy will do this, Smithy will do nothing as usual apart from smoke cigarettes and drink tea. The driver will do this. And Arnold said, well, this is where your plan falls apart, Mr. Morgan, because I personally would rather be cleaning toilets than going to RTCs. And you can see what we were up against. I remember Bampers coming on and he was putting equipment away in the lockers before I was even using it. Thanks, Bamp, efficient and organised. Fit. Oops. Ooh. But despite that, I remember we lost radio control for a while, and Control said you have to go on radio watch. So they went through every single station, one after another, to when we were booking back on again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dead. And you had to sit there in the pump acknowledging this and going, yeah, 2, whatever it was, 19, 18, whatever. We got all the way to 20. There was no 21. Is there a 21? No, there's no 21. All right, there is a 21 now, but I'm sure there wasn't at the time. And then we just bypassed 22 and went straight on to 23. And they were so busy talking back to all the others, we had confirmed that Penarth doesn't exist. It's fallen off Control's table. It truly was the station that time forgot. And I'd gone to Penarth under a bit of a cloud. Strange, I don't usually have that experience in my career. It was mostly all plain sailing. But in the Penarth days, more about Brian Fraser later. But in the Penarth days, where were we? In the Penarth days, yes. I was under a bit of a cloud. And there was a certain individual that I don't think is in the room tonight, and we'll call him Firefighter X. And this probably was the funniest point in my whole career. I said to John, I said to Kevin, I said to Glenn, if this guy ever gets out of the recruits course, because he had his skills, obviously, but not towards the fire service. Everybody is doing the best they can, but they've got skills and aptitudes that are not necessarily towards the fire service. And anyway, I said, if he ever gets through the recruits course, he's coming to Penarth. And guess what? He's not only coming to Penarth, he's coming to Blue Watch. And they said, oh, you're just paranoid, Graeme. When I was putting on my Scottish accent just to break the day up. All right, pal, how's it going? Because I was old Jock for a while. It was my alter ego. I was Spider-Man a little later, but I liked old Jock a little bit better. And anyway, Firefighter X duly arrived. We had at the time Firefighter Y, who had a specialist skill of topography, who could let us know where everybody was in Penarth if we had a call, until we had a call. And then he knew nothing. It was like Manuel. Well, the thing is, yeah, go out left, yeah, shut it, forget it, we'll just come out. And he was like, remember the Terminator series of films where there was Terminator that come out, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the ultimate death machine, nothing can ever compete with this. This was like Terminator in reverse. As poor as you can possibly imagine, nothing could ever be worse than this. Oh yes it can. It's Firefighter X. And he arrived, and not only did he have no redeeming features, he had deceit, dishonesty, and all sorts of stuff. And how he would blank his way around a situation is if you ask him a question, go, what's that, Graeme? And you ask him the same question again, what's 2 and 2? 2 and 2, Graeme? Yeah, 2 and 2. And then just look at you and scratch his balls. Unfortunately, after about 6 months, Ely said, we'll look after him, we'll develop him, you've just messed up in Penarth. And so he duly went. A tear was cast, and off he went. And after 6 months they said in Ely, God is useless. But that was that. We moved away from Penarth now. We now then, unfortunately, very sadly, left my good mate Steve Bunce and went to recruit school. I trained over 100 recruits then. I think I gave them all an opportunity to see what life was all about and what the expectations were. It was the only time in my fire service career I actually lost my temper, when I was detailing a drill and 2 firefighters started fighting. I chased them around the yard for 20 minutes screaming, and I could have actually had a pistol, I was shot. I thought, how can you be fighting when the commandant is actually detailing a drill? And then I realised that Robbie Adams and Ian Toomey had said I'm to be referred to as Lassard from Police Academy. And I realised how much disrespect there really was. But did I puff my chest up? No, of course not. It was at that time, it was a very dark period, that we came into contact with his right royal evilness, the Brian of Fraser. Yeah, come on. My wife is a very spiritually aware, and we were talking about forgiveness greatly, and virtually everybody that's ever come into contact with me that I've fallen out with, I've forgiven them all. But Brian Fraser, it's a tricky one. He was an utter and complete bastard of the highest order. But eventually, in another month or so, I'll have forgiven him. He accused the recruit school of being a military boot camp, whereas Peter Jones, who was in charge at the time, basically said it was like Camp Run Amok. And I said to them both, I said, neither of you actually been here, so how can you judge any of this situation? Come down and see. Well, it wasn't long before there was a breakdown of trust and I was gone. But I then, swiftly moving on to Steve Skimmons. Thanks for picking me up and giving me an opportunity once I'd gone. And it was at that time, working in staff in Bridgend, that I met up with the wonderful Bob Calmedo. If Colin Baker was the funniest person I've ever met, Bob Calmedo had to be the nicest. A wonderful, sweet human being, and I miss him greatly. And Sue Edwards, who I turned completely flipped, and she had to actually leave for a little while because I've messed up so many systems that she created. Wow, we're nearly there. We're getting there. We're into the mid-90s now, I think. I picked up some commander's jobs. And I'm going to tell you this little story about being a tactical officer or being a station officer on the flexible rotor system. Going into Penarth, and Britain basically discharged its social function. And lots of old people and people with mental health issues all living in the community, and the fire service picked. So, basically, one in particular that I'm always reminded of is going to Penarth to a call where a controller will phone up and go, we've had a bit of a strange one. That means at 2 o'clock in the morning, yours truly is going out on his own. Yeah, a lady that's complaining about ringing noises. Tell me about it. I don't phone the fire service. I have voices in my head all the time. Anyway, turned up, knocked the door, and she said, who are you? What do you want? You said you called the fire service. Did I? Yeah, ringing noises. Electric problems. So I said, well, I don't want the fire service. So she said, I don't want the fire service, I want the electric company. I said, well, shall I see if there's a problem? Yes, come in. So there was a Alice in Wonderland situation where there's a 2-foot square hatch to the fuse board, and I'm putting my head in, and of course with ears like this I don't want to risk going in too deep. And I know what's coming next. And I said, I'll go back to my car and get the yellow torch, and of course the batteries are not working properly. Get much better torches now, but at that time the torches weren't so good. And so I said, have you got a torch? She said, torch, love? Yeah, of course. Up halfway up the stairs on the landing, she says, what have I got upstairs for? I said, torch. All right, okay. Leave that with me, I'll get a torch for you now. Scurrying about for about 5-10 minutes. What did you want, love? Torch. All right, okay, I'll be down there now in a minute. Make yourself a cup of tea, love. I'll be there now. What did you want? Torch, so I can see what's going on, because it was a hardwired electric bell that was causing the problem. With my knowledge of electricity, we weren't going to get very far, even with a torch, to be honest. But, so basically, she said, make a cup of tea. I go to the kitchen, I'm making a cup of tea. She picks up behind me and says, what are you doing in here? Who are you? I said, I'm from the fire service. Fire service? Who called you? I said, you did. No, I'm the electricity company. All right. Consistency's coming at last. I said, yeah, but I'm from the fire service. You came through to our control. You've got a problem with the electricity. I'm trying to have a look and see if I can sort it. Your fuse board is a little bit restricted. Have you got a torch? Torch, love? Yeah, I'm sure I've got one of those upstairs. So I can have a look now. This went on, I kid you not, for about an hour. After which I called in Penarth, and after they turned each other over and sorted out their bed sores, they duly turned up and did a remarkable job of sorting out the lady's discomfort. Well, after a while, After a while, I joined the intervention team with Steve Martin's team of bulldozer drivers. Yeah, really. But a fantastic guy, full of energy. We changed everything, and I worked in RDX. And that was about that. And then nothing really happened there, apart from we did loads and loads and loads of work, which I know you can imagine anybody that knows me thinking, you did loads of work? Yeah, I really did. I had a moment. And then I went into the relocation team, which I'm very proud of. I was doing new things that I'd never really experienced before. We could take us from one headquarters to the other. I was supposed to be changing everybody's view of working, improving systems, etc. The declutter, who can ever forget that? We threw away about 15,000 tons of paper. If only we'd have had Blue Peter's appeal thing, we'd have got a lifeboat, life raft, and all sorts of stuff. Eh? Oh yeah, threw all the fans away. They're still there in our office. And I remember they said, can you sort out, or Greg did, he said, can you sort out a moving company to do all of this removal stuff? Because obviously you're not going to do it on your own. No, I'm not going to do it on that. So got a removal company, they came down, we sorted it all out a couple of weeks before the move, or the weekend before the move, they came down, and the team of 5 turned up, 3 of them got pissed, smashed up the boss's car.